Hello and welcome to the Mal&Johnny Show, a special show today with a special guest. I was watching Save the Cinema, lovely film, it was on Sky, and I was looking at the credits and it said book by Lorraine King. Now I've got a friend called Lorraine King, so I had a little look online. I couldn't find much about it, so I dropped her a message, and yeah, Johnny Tudor, Lorraine King sat next to you there on Zoom. She wrote the book.
She wrote the book.
It's fantastic. And
I hope you kept. I hope you kept the film rights, Lorraine.
well, we'll see. We'll see. So, Lorraine, you've kept this rather quiet. I was speaking to another friend this morning of mine called Andrew Griffiths. I said I'm going to have a chat with Lorraine today on the Mal&Johnny Show. I said she wrote the book to this film, The Save the Cinema. He said I saw the credit. I thought, is it our Lorraine? It was our Lorraine. How did it happen? What happened?
Well, it was definitely me. Well, it was really weird, Mal, because I've been writing scripts for about 10 years, okay? So it's 10 years ago I got in touch with a friend who... I made friends with a lady who was a manager and was into the film industry. And she got a little call from somebody, from a producer, saying, we desperately need somebody with funny bones to help us rescue a script. And she said, well, I know somebody who's got very funny bones. I shall ask her. And she sings songs and writes songs. I'll give her a call. So I've always been creative, as you know, and words are my thing. And I was always writing little plays and stuff. So I gave it a go, and it was incredible. So I met this producer guy, and over the years I've written a number of scripts. But it's like throwing darts at a dartboard. You know, it's trying to find the one that gives you the bullseye, and that doesn't happen very often, I can tell you.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, come to about 2 years ago, just before the lockdown. My friend Mark Llewellyn-Evans, who's a good friend of mine, was always telling me this story about his mum, Liz Evans, in Saving the Lyric Theatre. And he always used to say that she camped out in this cinema for 23 years, never went home. And that's the story that he tells, you know. And I just thought, that's incredible. So I actually did a little bit of research on it, and I just thought, hang on a minute, the story that he and his brother Wyn tells are entirely different from the truth.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. I've always said, Johnny, you've always said that.
Exactly.
That's right, yeah.
Exactly. Well, the boys have dined out in it for I don't know how many years, right? You know, sort of always telling stories about their mum. So anyway, I kind of researched it and interviewed a lot of people around it, and, you know, sort of... And then it lay for a bit, because I thought, I don't know if this is, you know, the boys won't, you know, because there's lots about a person that you find out, and when you had to contradict something that the boys had actually said, I just thought, well, you know, perhaps I shouldn't go there.
She was a tough person, was that lady? I did a panto there a couple of times.
She was.
And she used to be in charge, you know. She was really in charge.
Well, apparently Liz is like Marmite. You loved her or you hated her because she was scary. I met her once as well, and she was really scary. You know,
Stan Stennett used to do the pantos for. We did it about 2 or 3 times. We used to have a run-in with her every time. He said, that woman, I'm not coming back here again. But we always went back and did it,
you know. I know. Well, that is the you know, the essence of Liz. I mean, a very an agent that we know, Alan Phillips.
Alan Phillips, God.
Yeah,
Phillips, little Lorraine, Alan Phillips,
I know. That's all he says. I know. So he said that, that woman, he said in Carmarthen, he said, I tried to take my tribute shows in there and she wouldn't have any of it. She said, we just do Carmarthen youth opera and things which really matter here.
That's right, yeah.
But anyway, exactly, you know, Johnny, what I mean when I say she was an ordinary character, right?
Yeah.
But there was... Mark flippantly said one day, he said, do you know what, he said, I've just told the story to Anthea Turner, and she said Richard Curtis could write this, it'd be amazing. And there was a one-show documentary little insert being done about Richard Goodrich, who wrote the letter to Spielberg, because all that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He really wrote the letter to Spielberg. But, so there was a documentary, and I thought, if I don't pull my finger out now, and get something written down, I'm going to miss the boat. There was this real nag in the back of my head. I got to do it. And it wouldn't let me go. And I call this my divine appointment, right?
Right.
Mal know what I mean. But it was really amazing because I wrote out the synopsis and a treatment. and I gave, which is the bare bones of the story and how it would run.
So you didn't actually write a novel, then you actually wrote the screenplay?
No, I wrote the screenplay. That's right,
right,
the original screenplay. But I wrote what it was and how it occurred. You know, and it's an art to writing a synopsis to get something to get the attention of film producers, because it's like the herding cats. If you're producers and directors, you've only got a split second to get their attention and then they're off. You know. So I gave it to a friend who was a producer, and he went into Sky for something else, and they didn't like what he'd given them, and they said, "Have you got anything else?" And he said, "Well, there's this story about this woman who saves a cinema, blah, blah, blah." And they said, "Oh my gosh, it's exactly what we're looking for. We've just hired First Access Entertainment to do 3 films from us." And they said, "We really want this film because we wanted a film about a woman, written by a woman and directed by a woman." Right?
Fantastic.
Yeah, so they gave it to First Access Entertainment, and they gave it to the chap whose new job it was to do all their productions for that company. It was the same guy who 10 years earlier said, "Do you know anybody with funny bones?"
No.
So I can't believe my big job and my name is across the desk. And he turned, you know, it was crazy. So I had a little extra help then with him, and he gave me the information about what they wanted and everything. So I wrote the first script. I had the opportunity to do that, which was the bare bones. And then but they wouldn't necessarily trust what they would say, an untried writer, first-time writer.
The same old story.
Yeah, exactly. But they saw it as a big, big thing. And let me tell you, at one point, they were talking Glenn Close was going to play the mayor. Catherine Zeta-Jones was going to play Liz. There were all these stars, you know. Glenn Close couldn't come over at the last minute because of COVID regulations. So they would have written a cheque for her to whatever she wanted. But as it turned out, COVID restrictions happened and everything. So, but basically, they gave then the script to Piers Ashworth, who'd done Fisherman's Friend, and he was on their roster. As you know, Johnny, that's how it goes. He rewrote it, and he put the kind of the sexy bits in, like the funeral and the lots of the plot lines, you know. But he used bits of my script. I shall never say which bits. But they're the bits everybody laughed at. No, he was brilliant, and it was a really big lesson. I feel like I've been to the University of Life, because I learned so much by that one thing, and I learned what they need. I learned how to, exactly how to put something together that ticks that box.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's strange, isn't it? They always want somebody with a name. It's the same with everything.
Oh yeah.
They don't care how good the script is. Oh no, but we'll have someone to do it.
You got it.
I've had a similar trouble. I wrote a book about Dorothy Squires, okay?
Oh,
and everybody says it should be a film, okay? And because it was such a huge life. So I sent it into the Welsh, Film Cymru. And they said, "Oh yeah, well, what's your experience of writing films?" Well, I haven't written a film, but I've written a book. You know what I mean? And I could write a film. I've done the research.
Of course you could.
But the same thing, you see. You're not a film writer name, so it's crazy.
All right, let me just check with the both of you now. Which college, which correspondence course did you go on to learn how to write a screenplay and to write a book? Lorraine, you first. Where did you go? What university?
Nothing. Nowhere. Just me.
Johnny, what about you?
Well, I was lucky. I worked with Paul Turner on this Dorothy Squires thing, and Paul had an Oscar nomination for his win.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't have better than that, could you?
No.
But then he died.
Oh,
and then so I've got this thing knocking about, and I bump into Peter Edwards. Now, Peter Edwards was head. Peter used to be head of the drama at the ITV, and he liked it, and he wanted to do it. Then Peter died. Talk about.
Don't ask me to do anything.
I want to you do it.
I'm of an age. No.
I'll send you the book.
Well, no, but the thing is, it is I know Dorothy Squires' story, but all they want. I couldn't. When I did my script, I will say that I went maverick, as what they said, because I didn't listen to what they wanted. They wanted 4 weddings and a funeral. I was given the brief that it is. I was given that. 4 weddings and a funeral and that. And they were quite right, because they know what makes a family film. I had done it more like Full Monty, with lots of swearing and drinking and smoking. They didn't want that. They wanted it for a
family show,
a feel good. And they were, and after seeing it, I think I know that they were right, because it's set to, although the critics pandered a bit, it's set to become a classic for people. I do like the quote that something similar to this Mark Kermode said. Not Kermode,
Kermode, pays your money.
He should get a new suit. He's always in the same suit.
I know. Yes, he is. This is lucky suit. But he's apparently said this film is like eating cheese on top of cheese, and then when you've had cheese, you have a cheese biscuit, and after the cheese, you put a little bit of cream cheese on top, and then you have more cheese, and you have cheese. But he said, but you know what? It's the type of film that when you just want to cut it up, not cut it up, but when you want to have a duvet day, you put the duvet on a sofa, and it's the sort of film I'd watch again in a few years' time.
Well, that's great.
That's all right, isn't it?
That's brilliant. Because and I'm the same. I didn't go to learn how to write a musical. I just started writing, because I think a lot of people are scared that because they don't know what they should do. Sometimes you just have to jump out of the boat, don't you? See if you can walk on the water, and it's exciting. So having said all of that, and I think we can read bits and bobs in between what you're saying. You got your name on a film. You got your name. You wrote the book of a film.
I did.
So what?
They can't now say that you're not a film writer.
No.
You've got that.
There is that, right? And so a process begins where, yes, because it's all about who you know. The lucky break is definitely in place. And so therefore there's a couple of things I'm writing now. But instead of being somebody who got nothing, they look at me and say, oh, she did save the cinema.
Absolutely.
Now, but just to add, when I said I didn't go to university, Mal, I have actually read a number of books about screenwriting. So I wasn't coming to it, I knew about books like Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. Anybody wanting to write a screenplay, get the book. It's an old book, Blake Snyder, Save the Cat. And then screenwriting books which, tell you plot lines, and there are rules to follow. So
they show you, as you say, to do the treatment first, and then to build it on. Because I bought a few of the books when I first started doing stuff.
Yeah.
And they are very, very helpful.
Oh, no, that's right. You've got to have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
That's right,
You've got to have your plus point. You've got to have your A, B story, B story. 85% of the way through is the dark soul of the night, and then there's resolution. And so there's all those things, Mark. So when you, I must say that I did do a bit of reading. But yes, I got my name on a film. And I don't care if I don't get the accolades. I get paid. So I did get paid.
That's good.
You're a professional.
And I didn't realise I actually got a royalty on the film.
Well, that's fantastic. So every time it's played now, you'll get a couple of bobs, eh?
That's brilliant.
I'm hoping so. I didn't even think of that. It's only 1%, right? And I thought, I didn't even think about it. And then somebody said, go and have a look at what Billy Elliot made. So I looked on the Billy Elliot made it $254 million.
You know what?
Take 100 million out, and I'd have 1% of that.
Alec Guinness didn't want a fee for Star Wars. He wanted 1%. Because he didn't know. I couldn't imagine how much he made on that.
Gobsmacking, and they're right to do it. But you see, I think it comes back down to that bloke who was the producer that knew me 10 years earlier, and he wrote that contract up for me. And I think he did me a great favour.
Yeah, he did, because they could have written you out. That's what big companies usually do. I mean, Lorraine, we've known each other a very long time.
Yes.
And I think, I was delighted, and I was thinking, why isn't she making more of this story? And everybody, we're all struggling to do something, but when one of us gets to the next level, there's cheering from the wings. Everybody's going,
thank you.
Because I know how hard it has been. You've done everything. You've been in an ABBA tribute band. You've done solo gigs. I mean, it's not been easy. But a bit like me and Johnny, you've never given up.
No, I've never given up.
Never give up.
I will be disgracefully doing what I do till the day I die, probably.
Yeah.
I've never given up, because do you know what? As long as there's a creative bone in your body, then I think that, just follow it. And seeing, like, coming back to the dementia thing, well, obviously we haven't talked about that yet, but I work with the Alzheimer's Society, and I sing to people with dementia 3 days a week, and it's the most wonderful, rewarding thing. But what the most important thing is to keep our brains active, is to do things.
All right, well, just tell us now, because before we came on to record this, you'd been working for an hour with a client with dementia. Yeah.
With a group of people who have got dementia, and they come to my Singing for the Brain sessions, which I usually hold face to face, in Gowerton and Bridgend, Carmarthen, and where else do I go?
You've forgotten.
Before the blooming lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, nobody can meet, so we're doing it until we're told otherwise and we can go back to groups. We're doing it on Zoom. So yes, I was taking a Zoom session, and I'm leading it and singing songs and putting words on the screen, and everybody's joining in, and people get such a benefit from singing. It's incalculable how that makes you feel, because here's somebody who may be affected by dementia, is maybe depressed, maybe gone in on themselves, they're just, there's nothing happening, and singing a song or singing their favourite song, if I hit that mother lode of what they like, you see them light up, you see them smile, you see them singing, even if they can't articulate any other ways, from somewhere in the back of their brains, the song that they love, they're singing it.
Give an example then. Yeah, give an example. I mean, how long does it take to find the right song, and what happens when the right song comes along?
Oh, well, there was this one chap, and I knew that he was a folk musician, and he came to me for quite a long time. He used to come to one of my groups, and brought by his wife and his carer, actually, because he was quite badly off. He couldn't speak very well, and then I just thought, what is the song? He would mumble the songs, but one day I sang a Joni Mitchell song, and I started singing on my guitar, bows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles and all that. He suddenly looked up, and he looked at my face, and he sang every word. And I'm not talking just one verse, because I kept going. I wanted to see how much of this he remembered. And he knew more than I did, that's for sure. But after that was an incredible example. And after that, he, started to sing. So if he came to my group, I would always sing that song and something else, folky. And he was able to have a bit of a lucid conversation with his wife and carer afterwards. So they were dedicated to bringing him, because they knew that he would have this, wonderful time and go home in a better mood, smiling. Brilliant. And that's what I try to do. I keep telling the Alzheimer's Society that I'm not very good at paperwork. I'm not an organ grinder. I'm a monkey. I'm a performing monkey.
Join the club, Johnny. Join the club.
There we are. You'll be good at this. You'll be good. But it is incredible. And like I will say one more example. One lady. She came with her carers in a chair from the neck down. She didn't have much mobility, and I said, "Hello, what's your name?" And the carer says, "Oh, don't bother to speak to her. She never talks. I've just brought her." And so I ignored that, and I just said, "Hello, what's your name?" And she said, and the girl said, "Nancy's her name." So I was talking, and right, welcome. Because it's all, with the Alzheimer's Society, it's all about being person-centred, right? No matter what, it's person-centred approach. So anyway, I started singing, and I hit upon Calon Lan, and I was singing, "Nid and Govin Bawyd Moethus." All of a sudden, this crow came out the back of the chair. Calon Lan, Diodi. Right? She sang when none of us could believe it. Well, the next week she came, she sang "Daisy, Daisy," right? "Daisy, Daisy." Not only that, she started to sing on her own, right? She started, "Daisy, Daisy, the coppers are after you." We all went, "What? If they catch you, they give you a month or two. They tie you up with wire behind a black Mariah. So ring the bell and shout like hell, pedal like hell on a bicycle made for two. And all of us cheered.
Isn't
Couldn't
that
believe
brilliant?
it.
Isn't that
I was the key to unlock her. So Canon Lan, Daisy, Daisy, and she would always then, you know.
Hey.
And 3 months after that, she was flirting with somebody else's husband. So it did work.
Do you know, I'm listening.
Singing to it.
Yeah, I'm listening to this story. Sounds like a bit of a film in there, Johnny. If you got the right storyline.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
No, it's very hard to get films off the ground if you haven't got a big writing name, you know what I mean?
Very hard.
Even if it's a fantastic idea. I mean, who would have thought that Gavin and Stacey would have been a hit? Nobody. I did the first series and nobody knew it was going to be a hit. Nobody knew. And it just took off.
Yeah.
And talking about a good contract, I still get the royalties from the CDs. Comes in every now and again.
So, Lorraine,
You're right. It's very difficult.
it is very difficult. Have you seen the film?
Yes, I saw it on Friday. We went to Carmarthen to see it. Now, Sky were going to do a big premiere, but unfortunately, because of the new restrictions, there was no premiere. And so Mark Llewellyn-Evans and Wyn, particularly Mark, he said, well, I'm not having this. My mother wouldn't like this. And apparently, the third brother, Hugh, was sleeping in the middle of the night and he had a dream which broke him up in a cold sweat. And he woke up with a start because his mother had come to him in the dream and said, now you give me a premiere in the Lyric Theatre or I'm not happy. And she said, and furthermore, you've got to pay for all the tickets for all the kids. So he rang his brothers and he said, Mum's just spoken to me in a dream.
I'm going, Johnny, I'm going.
And, well, you know, and that's what they did. Mark asked to buy, immediately went and bought all the tickets, or asked to buy all the tickets. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Carmarthen County Council helped them, you know, just waived it, and we had the tickets for free for all the kids who'd been in the film, all the people from the Carmarthen Youth Opera who were involved in the film the first time round, the story the first time round, and whoever could be there. But it was very restricted from, you know, it's a 600-seater down to 150 seats, and so Mark had to really have arguments and all sorts of who's going to go, it was ever so sad. But all we could do, we dressed up and we walked in, we sat in our seats, there were a couple of speeches, and then we walked out, and that was it. And they should have champagne and you know, there wasn't.
I don't think I'll win. My wife Alwyn's got a small part in it as well, see, Alwyn Rees. So
what does she play? What does she play?
Know.
She plays the lady having her hair done and having the cocktails, and she sat next to Tom Felton, who's now one of her best friends. Christmas cards and all that. Yeah, they're very, very cute.
That part was my part.
Was it?
Oh, I see. You're going to do that with him?
No, because I tell you what, the only pleasure I get in the film business, genuinely, is the creative process, sitting at the keyboard, creating the thing. I hate being an extra. I didn't enjoy it on set. I don't know what it is, but Mal, it's really funny. The creative process is the enjoyable bit for me. So I don't I don't care about the rest.
But you did actually manage to go on set while it was being made as well, did you?
Only just because it was done this time last year.
COVID,
and the producers really, they pulled it together incredibly. I can't believe how they did it, because if they hadn't, the whole thing would have been scrapped, and no doubt they wouldn't have even come back to the film. They'd have gone on to the next film, which was, do you know what I mean? Yes. They wouldn't. It might have gone into the background.
The circus leaves town, doesn't it? The circus leaves town and everything moves on.
That's right.
Tell me the story.
They determined to do it.
Tell me the story. Jonathan Pryce wasn't the original person they had up for it. They were going to have what's his name? The other actor that was going to do it first.
Anthony Hopkins.
And then he dropped out. Oh. No, he wasn't even a Welshman.
No, there was a pretty. Oh.
A big star.
I know.
Oh my God, my brain. Anyway, but he wasn't Welsh, or perhaps he couldn't do it because of COVID. I don't know. And then Jonathan Pryce stepped in.
Well, let me tell you, a lot of the people who were Welsh people and approached to do the film didn't want to do the film.
Why is that?
Because they said it was too cheesy, and they didn't like the fact of, and a lot of people said, oh, this, you know, when a Welsh person gets it, and they just said they put all the cliches, and it wasn't my fault, it was Piers Ashworth doing this was, because I made it a lot grittier, but Piers Ashworth put in the cliches like How Green Is My Valley and stuff like that, and people who were Welsh actors and things, Catherine Zeta-Jones said, I'm not touching that, And, they did like my script, actually, but I wasn't going to, there was not a hope that I could get anything through, because it was much, it was, but Piers did an incredible job at the end of the day. I've got to say, he was right to do what he did, because that is one of the moments that make people cry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he knew what he was doing, so he was just the right person for doing this. And I just think I think it was fantastic what he did.
Yeah.
I never have done it as a Welsh person. You don't want to do all the cliches, but they did. Because you see, Sky had an eye on America. They don't have an eye on who's interested in Wales. And really, had I said, no, you can't have my script because you're going to give it to somebody else, I was told, well, we can actually write it about somebody in Scunthorpe.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, they could have. They could have just taken the story and done it in Scunthorpe.
Sometimes you've got to be pragmatic, because there's always another idea, isn't it? That's the thing. There's always another idea, and as you say, you've got plenty. Exactly. So where's the future taking you now? Because obviously you're not able to get. Well, are you able to gig at the moment? Is it starting at the beginning?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be. I've got this ABBA tribute, Johnny, and I play the blonde with the beard. No, the blonde.
Bjorn.
And my
Agneta. I was in love with her.
Oh.
Agneta. Oh my God.
When I put the wig on, I become Agneta, and I'm Agneta false cow.
Oh, that's it. A false cow.
But we're taken now, because Tina and I, we're sort of getting on, and we just thought we're fed up of pretending we're 25, right, when we're in costume. So we start with the first thing we say is, and when we get on stage is, oh, hello, everybody. Don't we look good for 70 and 76? Look, it's amazing. And then we get away with it.
Fantastic.
Well, they've done the same thing, haven't they? They've done the same thing, haven't they?
Absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
No,
yeah.
they've guaranteed a future. They've guaranteed a future in the tribute industry. I don't say they like it, but they certainly have.
I can still sing Tom Jones songs since my hair went white.
That's not unusual.
Hey, funny bones. She's still got the funny bones. Well, look, it's terrific, and as I say, we're all delighted, and that's why I wanted you on today, because I in our own little way, we're going to shout it from the rooftops. One of our mates wrote a book of a film.
Yes, I always push Mark. I push Mark to the front because it was his mother, and he gave me a lot of stories. But sort of.
You wrote the book, Lorraine. Sorry, don't categorise it. You wrote the book. It's called Save the Cinema. I saw you named it from the film.
Without your idea, writing, it wouldn't have come off.
Absolutely.
No, it would never have done it. And as I said, I did do the original screenplay, and that's what I got paid for most. So
Fantastic. And when the first royalty check comes in, come back. Let us know how big it was.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of it, but God bless the producer who thought to put me in.
Look.
Yes, fantastic.
So that's an unusual.
I might not make anything, shall I?
We have faith.
People don't go to the cinema these days, do they?
Yeah, but you'll get the royalties when they play it on TV.
TV and everything.
Yes,
downloads.
Every time it's shown.
Oh, yeah. There's a pile of money coming
soon.
Money.
There's a song that Dorothy Squires wrote for a film called Tammy Tell Me True. Who was in that? Sandra Dee. And they play this song now and again, and Emily, her niece, gets like a couple of grand coming through the door for nothing. Because of the royalties.
There you go.
It's out there now, you see.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a cleaner in my old age then. Fantastic.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, Johnny, I'd love to hear more about that story, mine, because I've just finished, Mal, doing an audio book for Vernon Hopkins. Have you ever had him on your show?
No.
I'm afraid he's a bit of a kiss and tell about the early years of Tom Jones.
Right.
It's hilarious.
Right.
It's hilarious. The way he's written it and the way he tells it, he's living it on this audio book, which is coming out shortly, called Just Help Yourself.
Wow.
Do you know what? If you know somebody intimately, like I knew Dorothy intimately from a kid, and I was brought up with, I did the Palladium with her, I toured with her, everything. So everything I did was from me. Yeah. So obviously it's the same with this guy. If you know that subject, it will. I'll send you the book. See what you like.
There we are.
You could narrate your own, which is what I did with Vernon. You narrated their own book. It took me a long time to edit it, Mal, because you have to take out every breath and any noise or anything. And it took me
I get Olwen to do it for me because she can do it. She's fantastic reader, Olwen.
Brilliant.
You should record it and then put it out on an audio book. It's your story.
Isn't that great? Yeah, it's like creative. It's all happening. It's all happening on the podcast. It's a shame to say goodbye, but we've run out of time. So Lorraine King, writer of Save the Cinema, lovely to have you on. It's goodbye from her. It's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from you.
It's goodbye from you.
Bye for Mal.
Bye.
Hey, lovely to meet you. Ta-da, Lorraine.
Bye.